Governor Walker, you may not be surprised that I'm going to start with you. Of all the people here today, you were the only governor who was the subject of a social media campaign aimed at us, including this open letter sent to us. I got several copies of this. It's posted on the web, and they all begin, Mr. Williams, I was shocked to learn that you are featuring Governor Scott, quote, teachers are thugs Walker on your program. And I'll spare you most of it. Again, you can read it on the web. None of it will surprise you. One paragraph in here reads, Walker cut $1.6 billion from Wisconsin's public education budget over 2 years, even as he passes out tax breaks like candy and increases public funding to private and charter schools. Most districts in the state had to deal with these cuts this year by forcing our top commodity, experienced teachers, into early retirement and get some short-term balance in hiring new, less expensive teachers. Governor, knowing what you know now, having been through what you've been through in Wisconsin, won't this mean for years to come a deeply suspicious, antagonized teacher workforce?
No, I think in the end, and September 1st was a key date for us. September 1, my two sons, Matt and Alex, who go to a public high school in the state of Wisconsin, went back to school just like kids did all across our state. And in the end, what people saw in our schools was, in the most part, they were the same or better. Our school district was one of the many out there where our school board pointed out that the teachers were intact, the programs were intact, and in some cases they actually added more programs. Not just in Wauwatosa where my kids go, but Kaukauna, probably the best example of all out there. They took a $400,000 surplus, turned it into $1.5 million, deficit, turned it into $1.5 million surplus, and they used it to hire more teachers, to lower classroom size, to ultimately set money aside for merit pay. And there may be some who disagree with that, I understand, but in the end, I think results matter, and the results are going to show that we gave reforms that allowed our school districts ultimately to make our schools better.
But the math disagrees with you. You've cut more per pupil than not only anyone on this stage, but more than any of the 50 states.
Yeah, but in that case, the interesting thing is, unlike, and there were 40 of us, 40 states across the country that had deficits. Many of us, both Democrat and Republican governors alike, had to cut in areas like education. The difference, though, is we gave not only a pension and health care contribution reforms, we changed other things. So, for example, many of our school districts no longer have to buy their insurance from something like the WA Trust, which was a teachers union-owned health insurance company or affiliated health insurance company. That saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. In some cases, Appleton renegotiated with the WA Trust and saved more than $3 million alone just on health care. That's money they could put right back into the classroom.
More than one person has sent me a tweet. One of them reads, having Governor Walker to this gathering, and I'm sorry to pick on you here at the initial, at the start.
There's a few others that picked on me along the way too, Brian.
Well, we've got plenty of time. Having Governor Walker to this gathering is like, quote, having an arsonist talk about fire safety. People keep sending me emails, ask the governor what his problem is with teachers, especially veteran teachers.
You know, the irony is, again, I have two kids that go to a public high school. Matt and Alex are the number one reason why I wanted to reform the system, not just for today, but long term, so there's structural changes so my kids and the next generation never have to go through these troubles that we face across the country again. But the interesting thing is I went to schools earlier this spring after all our budget reforms and challenges in the state. I read the kids, and then I would go meet with teachers, and I'd get that question all the time. I have an open forum for an hour with teachers at our schools, and they'd say, why are you picking on teachers? And I say, go back to NBC, go back to YouTube, go back to all the statements I made earlier this year. You'll never find one time when I've said anything but great things about our teachers. The teachers who teach not only my kids, but all the other children across the state of Wisconsin are great public servants. But what I'm doing is long-term is making a structural change so that more of them can stay in our classroom.
Where did the thug quote come from?
What's that?
Where did the teachers are thugs quote come from?
It comes from the internet and everything else. But if you go back and check out there, every time I spoke, in the midst of all this debate, when there were tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people around our Capitol, we pointed out, not only for our teachers, but for our 300,000 public employees, I have great respect for them. I understand there's sometimes a difference of opinion on this, but in the end, we believe the right thing to do is put the power in the hands of the teachers. And what I've found since September is that over and over again when I've gone out around the state, teachers have come up to me and said, you know what? It's wonderful now because I get a chance to go into the classroom, to have a direct relationship with our principal, open the door to reform and opportunity, and I think that's going to benefit us long term, at least in the state of Wisconsin.
One more, because I want to correct the record. Forever and ever, from New York to Wisconsin, did you ever say, quote, teachers are thugs, even in the height of battle?
No, I repeatedly, again, I go to McDonald's and order a milkshake, and it's on YouTube somewhere out there, so you can check the internet. I repeatedly said that we have great public servants, and again, you see all sorts of things on the internet. I think what I like about this debate today is you're willing to take and to ask me tough questions. I'm willing to answer them, but we should have an open and honest debate not only in Wisconsin but across America as to where the future is. We have a limited amount of resources in the country. We want to make sure we improve our economy and at the same time improve our education system. I hear it like these other colleagues of mine hear it, that in the end, skilled workers match with the jobs, and the job skills are one of the critical elements in our states when it comes to the economy. And I want a state that is able to do that and afford to do that, and that's exactly what we've done in Wisconsin.